This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Tonight, we're going to continue our amazing journey together as we the people. We've been focused on a specific path in our great nation, understanding our nation, the structure thereof, how it's supposed to work. I love that flag behind me. It connects it's representative of our nation being our nation being connected as one, the states, the 50 states. The seal right here, we've got to pray for the executive branch of our nation, the president. We know we've been focused on 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, seeking the face of God. Not his hand, but his face. I want to know God and to turn from our wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins. We got a lot that needs to be forgiven, but we got to confess it. We got to go there and heal their land. My people calling my name, he says. We're forming a more perfect union, flowing together as one, recognizing that we're unified under a specific name, his people. Shared values, shared allegiance. That's us, we the people, God's people. We're going to continue to pray for our nation that's in recovery. 265 million, that's a lot of people. 265,900,000 Americans last year. They were living paycheck to paycheck, making barely ends barely meet. They're in recovery, and we want everybody to prosper. 80% of Americans last year, 79%, let's round it off to 80, said we're going in the wrong direction. We need to do something different, speaking loud and clear, saying we want new leadership. Who needs to be in the White House? We elected someone. Does it matter? Yes, it did. Does it matter who's on Capitol Hill? Yes, it does. So where are we now? Some people are struggling with compliance. The compliance of what are we doing? How does it fit in with the results of the election? How does it fit in? Quite frankly, we've been so out of compliance in so many areas for so long in our nation that it verges on being completely ridiculous. Now let's look at that. What is compliance? Compliance is the state of being in accordance with established guidelines or specifications or the process of becoming so. Now, let's look at some dynamics specifically about that affects us as Americans. Donald Trump said that he was going to make Tom Homan the border czar. Kamala Harris had been the border czar. There were people that denied that, but Joe Biden made her the border czar. She was the second one. She was the border czar. So she was responsible for all of the millions and millions and millions of illegal, at least 15 million illegal immigrants, aliens that came across our border. So one of the number one things that Donald Trump is going to address is getting our nation in a position to be safe, because out of those people that have come across our border, 13,099 of them have already been convicted of homicide. So there are some mayors that said that they're not going to comply with this deportation of the ones that are criminals, getting them out of the country. They've been convicted, means they are guilty. They said they were guilty. A judge and a jury found them guilty of homicide, kidnapping, and sexual assault. Those are the first ones that's got to go. So Tom Homan said, you are absolutely breaking the law. So he said that if Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, Democratic Mayor Mike Johnston in Denver, Colorado, is willing to go to jail for interfering with and obstructing President Trump's administration mass deportation plans, then he's willing to put him in jail. Why? He's breaking the law. This is what I'm talking about, compliance. We have been so out of compliance. Well, you had a whole movement that wanted to defund the police. Come on, we don't need. We're not gonna go by any laws. So Johnston made these comments when he declared. This is what he said, I'm not complying. He said that he would use the Denver Police Department to stop federal and military assets from entering the country to carry out the deportations. Johnston did not fully walk back that threat when he was confronted, saying he does not want an armed conflict with the U.S. government, but that the city will find ways to resist the president's plan. Thank you for letting us know. I'm not afraid of that, and I'm also not seeking that, Johnston said. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people on how to solve hard problems. Well, they're called laws. States and localities should be required not just to refrain from sabotaging federal immigration enforcement, but to assist with it. Homan, he doesn't play. When asked about the mayor's remarks, he said those terms are acceptable, but we got a job to do. You're absolutely breaking the law, Homan says. All he has to do is look at Arizona. Arizona, it's the rule of law. You got to look at law. Precedents. Look at Arizona versus U.S. and he would see he's breaking the law. There's a court precedence that's already been set. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing, says Homan. He's willing to go to jail and I'm willing to put him in jail. End of story. President Trump has been very clear. We want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. We are not safe. I find it hard to believe that any governor would say that they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I just find that hard to believe personally. Homan has previously warned that Democratic leaders who plan on using their office to conceal illegal immigrants and interfere with Trump's deportation plan will be in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. It's already a law. Now let's educate ourselves a little bit here. Let's keep going. Let's talk about this. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, but all that get understanding. They need to educate themselves. That's what Homan said. They need to review Title 8 USC 1324. He said when you read about it and you don't cross that line, because really it's a felony to harbor and conceal an illegal alien from the immigration control. To shield them from ICE. But we had a whole administration that was doing it. We have been so out of compliance and so out of control. Johnston is just one of the many mayors and state and local level Democrats who say that they're not going to cooperate with the federal government's operation. Well, you have those like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, that said, well, that's just not good enough. States and localities should be required not just to refrain from sabotaging federal immigration and enforcement, but to assist with it as a condition of receiving federal funding. They're out of compliance. While the federal government cannot simply commandeer state and local officials to enforce federal law, making federal dollars contingent on cooperation with immigration enforcement would be both appropriate and constitutional, according to Ron DeSantis. And he's telling the truth. You don't comply, you don't get federal dollars. Now, I really wanted to wrap my mind around this about the criminal penalties related to all of this. Listen to this. I was kind of like, wow. What have we been doing? Listen to this. Any person who, knowing that a person is an alien, brings to or attempts to bring to the United States in any manner whatsoever such person at a place other than a designated port of entry, the port of entry, or place other than as designated by the commissioner, regardless of whether such alien has received prior official authorization to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, and regardless of any future official action which may be taken with respect to such alien, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has to come, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such alien within the United States by means of transportation or otherwise in furtherance of such violation of law, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien in any place, including any building or any means of transportation. They're in violation of the law. We had a whole administration. They were flying people in, dropping them off in cities. Even those that were positive with COVID-19, and they weren't even been tested. Wow. Now, wow. If you encourage or induces an alien to come, to enter or reside in the United States, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to, entry, or residence is or will be in violation of law, or engages in any conspiracy to commit any of the preceding acts or aids or abets the commission of any of the preceding acts shall be punished. You see, Trump ain't playing with this. These people have been totally reckless. The Biden-Harris administration. This is why they lost. Illegal immigration was one of the reasons why they were lost. Why they lost. The economy and this. This is what they were doing. Listen to this. I was just like, Lord have mercy. A person who violates said description shall, for each alien in respect to whom such a violation occurs, in the case of a violation of said description, or in the case of a violation of said subparagraph, what I just described, in which the offense was done for the purpose of commercial advantage, free labor, remember we talked about that. For purpose of commercial advantage or private financial gain under Title 18 will be in prison not more than 10 years, or both. They'll be fined in prison for 10 years. Are you kidding me? Whoa. I was like, wow, this is good to know. In the case of the violation of these previous descriptions that I've just given, under Title 18, in prison not more than 5 years or both. I mean, it breaks it down, the descriptions and the fines and the prison term. In the case of a violation, subparagraph, and it gave the specific paragraphs in this description, and as I was reading, I was blown away. During and in relation to which the person causes seriously bodily injury, as defined in Section 1365 of Title 18, to or places in jeopardy the life of any person, be fined under Title 18 in prison not more than 20 years. Good Lord. They got these people roaming the streets, guys. They brought them in from Venezuela. The gangs have taken over apartment buildings. In the case of a violation of subparagraph, those paragraphs I just described, resulting in the death of any person, will be punished by death or imprisoned for any term of years or for life, fined under Title 18. They totally ignored these laws. It is not a violation of clauses, except where a person encourages or induces an alien to come or enter the United States for a religious denomination having a bona fide non-profit religious organization in the United States. You can come, or the agents or officers of such denominational organization. We do that as missionaries, going all over the world to encourage, invite, call, allow, or enable an alien who is present in the United States to perform the vocation of a minister or missionary. This is what we do in the world. For the denominational organization in the United States as a volunteer who is not compensated as an employee, notwithstanding the provision of room, board, travel, medical assistance, and other basic living expenses, provided the minister or missionary has been a member of the denomination for at least 1 year. And they go around and they speak at churches and they get support. I've been there and gave. We were glad to support them. They told us what they were doing. Any person who knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has not received prior or official authorization to come, to enter, or reside in the United States brings to or attempts to bring to the United States in any manner whatsoever such alien, regardless of any official action which may later be taken with respect to such alien, shall, for each alien in respect to whom a violation of this paragraph occurs, they shall be fined in accordance with Title 18. Wow. Or imprisoned not more than 1 year. There are consequences. There are outcomes for being out of compliance. Let's keep going. We're just talking out loud here. We're getting an understanding. Title 18. People shall be imprisoned in the case of violating Title 18 for not more than 10 years in case of a first or second violation of the said paragraphs. I mean, how many times was this violated over and over again? Wow. Not less than 3 years, but not more than 10. And if for any other violation, not less than 5, but no more than 15. Any person during any 12-month period knowingly hires for employment at least 10 individuals with actual knowledge that the individuals are aliens described in the aforementioned paragraphs, descriptions that Title 18 lays out, they're going to be fined under Title 18 or in prison for not more than 5 years or both. So what was pushing this illegal immigration and getting them on the voter rolls? A lot of it was slave labor. That's crude, but it's true. They were paying them under the table. People were lobbying for that stuff. Boy, I tell you. And Americans were being affected by it. Our bottom line. Getting paid fair wages because you could pay them on the table. And then they bring them in and do this catch and release thing. I was blown away when I found out they come and catch them and release them, and they could be released for, you remember how long? 15 years. That's crazy. An alien described in what we've been talking about, who is unauthorized, as defined in Section 1324 in this Title 18, and has been brought into the United States in violation of this section of what we're exploring and dissecting. In the case of a person who has brought aliens into the United States, listen to this. If you brought them in, oh boy, let's go there. If you brought them in, who brought them in? This administration. Kamala brought them in. Listen to this. This is heavy. In the case of a person who has brought aliens into the United States in violation of all of this, the sentence otherwise provided for may be increased by up to 10 years if the offense was part of an ongoing commercial organization or enterprise. Aliens were transported in groups of 10 or more. They brought them in on planes. And aliens were transported in a manner that endangered their lives, or the aliens presented a life-threatening health risk to people in the United States. They brought them in and they were positive for COVID, and they dropped them off in our communities. Seizure and forfeiture. Forfeiture. Listen to this. Listen to this, guys. I was blown away. I was like, I'm talking about this stuff because we don't know. They're counting on us to be ignorant, lacking knowledge in a particular area or matter. In general, any conveyance, including any vessel, vehicle, or aircraft that has been or is being used in the commission of a violation of everything that we just went over, the gross proceeds of such violation and any property traceable to such conveyance or proceeds shall be seized and subject to forfeiture. Applicable procedures. Is any of this applicable? Seizures and forfeitures under this subsection shall be governed by the provisions of Chapter 46 of Title 18. Title 18 blew me away. I was like, oh my God, look at how our own executive branch were in such gross violation of all this. Seizures and forfeitures under this subsection, all of this that we've described, shall be governed by the provisions of Chapter 46 of Title 18 relating to civil forfeitures, including Section 981 of such title, except that such duties as are imposed upon the Secretary of the Treasury under the customs laws described in that section shall be performed by such officers, agents, and other persons as may be designated for the purpose by the Attorney General. The Attorney General is in cahoots with the whole mess. Records of any judicial or administrative proceeding in which that alien status was an issue and in which it was determined that the alien had not received prior official authorization to come, to enter, or reside in the United States, or that such alien had come to, entered, or remained in the United States in violation of the law. Listen, it said official records of the service of the or of the Department of State showing that the alien had not received prior official authorization to come in or enter, reside, to come into the United States, or that such alien had come to or entered or remained here, is in violation of the law. We're talking about compliance. We're talking about non-compliance. Testimony by any immigration officer. I'm just blown away of what they've done to us. And this is why they lost the election. This is the behind the scenes structure. This is why Donald Trump and Tom Homan they ain't messing around. You got to get these people out of here. Kidnappers roaming our streets. Guilty of homicide roaming our streets. Sexual assault roaming our streets. Testimony by an immigration officer having personal knowledge of the facts concerning that alien status, that the alien had not received prior official authorization to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, or that such alien had come to, entered, or remained in the United States, is a violation of law. Is there an authority to arrest, and did they do it? No officer or person shall have authority to make any arrest for a violation of any provision of this section except officers and employees of the service designated by the Attorney General. There are laws that were set up for this. They were totally ignored. Our Attorney General that we had in place, all of them were in cahoots with this. It was a mess. Either individually or as a member of a class or all other officers whose duty it is to enforce criminal laws. They totally ignored them. So we had outreach programs. The Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with the Attorney General and the Secretary of State, as appropriate, they would develop, and they say they shall develop and implement an outreach program to educate the public in the United States and abroad about the penalties for bringing in and harboring aliens in violation of this section. I got a question. Did they do that? I'll wait on the answer. Of course they didn't. They were aiding and abetting the violation of all these laws. Title 18. Compliance in life offers several advantages, including reduced risk of legal issues. Compliance, guys. What is compliance? Why do we need compliance? It offers advantages, including risks of legal issues. Them people are scurrying around, getting in touch with lawyers. They're here illegally. I heard them talking about it on the radio here in Oklahoma. They got attorneys, they just inundated with calls. They said, I'm here illegally. It improves your reputation to be legal, to do it the right way. Enhance trust with stakeholders, us. Increase operational efficiency, positive work environment. I heard somebody was telling me about they were dealing with some illegal immigrants and they had a wreck and they said, do not report. I will give you cash. I will give you the cash for how I damaged your vehicle. Somebody told me that personally. They said, do not call the police. I am illegal. Better decision making and a competitive edge by ensuring adherence to ethical standards and relevant regulations across various aspects of life, whether personal or professional. Do you see how we have been in such gross violation as a nation regarding the leadership of this nation? Our leadership has been jacked up. They were vile. This boils down to basic safety, and this is a huge reason why Donald John Trump won. There are folk roaming our streets right now who are illegal immigrants who've been convicted of homicide, sexual assault, and kidnapping. And if I've asked it once, I'll ask it again. Can legal Americans roam the streets of America if we've been convicted of any of that? Can we? from a clinical perspective, quickly, let's look at this. The power of compliance in America. There's the power of compliance. There are key benefits to it. There's a legal protection. It's following rules and regulations minimizes the risk of legal repercussions, fines, and lawsuits. There's a reputation enhancement. Demonstrating commitment to compliance builds trust with customers, partners, investors, improving the overall image of an individual or organization. Do you want a reputation? Well, they got illegals they hire. Come on. What are we doing? Ethical behavior. Compliance promotes a culture of ethical conduct, fostering responsible decision making. What about operational efficiency? Clear, we know what the guidelines are. We know what the procedures are. Stemming from compliance can streamline processes and improve productivity. You're not going to be able to get a job. All of a sudden, you realize you've hired a lot of illegal people. Then you're going to lose your workforce. It's a mess. Your operational efficiency is totally disrupted. Employee satisfaction. Employees feel more secure and valued when they understand and follow established compliance standards, leading to higher job satisfaction. What about risk mitigation? Proactive compliance. We're talking about learning how to be compliant, actually following the rules, obeying the law. What about that in our nation? Proactive compliance helps identify and address potential risks before they become major problems. We got a major problem of crime in our nation. These folk taking over apartment buildings. What about competitive advantage? Companies that prioritize compliance can attract clients and partners seeking reliable and trustworthy businesses. The rule of law and safety in our nation is what we're looking at tonight. Our clinical perspective is the power of compliance. Listen, we are one nation under God. I come on here and I pour my heart out. You know why? I love this nation. I'm an American descendant of slaves. God wanted me born here. My ancestors came in 1619 to Virginia. My great-grandmother was a slave. She was born in Virginia, but she overcame. She became a doctress. She became a midwife. She fought. My dad was born on a plantation. He was a sharecropper, another form of slavery. I grew up in Jim Crow, and that was another form of slavery. But you know what I was taught? You comply and you follow the law. And I am serious about that. They have run so roughshod over us. We don't even know what compliance is. But I'm going to tell you right now, that day is over. You know why? There's a new sheriff in town. Yes. And he has been the most scapegoated person in America. JanicePons.com, the scapegoat. Powerful. God showed me what would happen. And I am so thrilled that I documented it all. It comes in ebook, audiobook, and paperback. The Scapegoat. Yes, I love America. Listen, we're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we support our posterity, our children, teaching them what compliance is. They're not some thugs that go around and don't obey the law, thinking that they're above the law. It's just, God, we can turn this thing around. I get on here and pour my heart out about this stuff as I'm learning about our country, how it's supposed to work, how it's structured. The clinical perspectives are concepts and truths that we can empower our children with. Someone was telling me they're going to start, they were talking about that my book, Still in the Minds of America, should be a required reading for all high schools, for all schools, middle schools and high schools. You can get this on Amazon.com, Still in the Minds of America. I was blown away when I went back to original documents and found out some things going back to the 1600s and 1700s and reading the Harper's Weekly, which was the newspaper back during the Civil War. I was glued. The man I was married to was alive at that time. He's in heaven now. He would come and pull me out of the library. I was so fascinated with what I was learning. Then I did the sequel, The Scapegoat. Still, the most scapegoated person in America is our president now. Janice Pons, for God and country, I love this nation, 5 patriotic songs. Then we go to church on JanicePons.com. You get the Scapegoat on JanicePons.com. Amazon.com is where you get Stealing the Minds of America. So this book has gone all over the nation, and this one has gone in a significant amount of states in the nation, the majority. But this one, I checked it out over the years, all over the nation. Thank you so much. Listen, we're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy New Year. We're going somewhere. Yes, we are. You know we are. And it's expecting us when we get there. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, as we go together from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. God bless you. I love you. And I'll see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.